It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be tanks in my stockings, my wallet will be empty, and Droodles, thank God, will stop singing right now. Or will I? Yes, I will. As you can see in front of you, the Blitz Fair is starting December 16th, which means that it's only 8 days away at the time of recording. That is absolutely awesome, and I'm super excited. It's literally just a week away before the Blitz Fair begins. Unfortunately for me, I already have every single vehicle apart from the Stridsvagn K, which is what I'll be streaming and showcasing, trying to get my hands on the first day of the event. But yeah, it's still a little sad for me. I always love the Blitz Fair, the festivities it has, how the garage changes, but I am a little sad that I can only get one special vehicle. However, all of you can get your hands on a lot of fantastic tanks this year, which I will be breaking into for today's video. I'm going to be breaking into all the snow globe tanks, which ones are really good, which ones maybe not so much, and as well, I'm going to be breaking into just some of the best tanks in my opinion that are really good, and if they do end up coming out in the auctions, you'll at least know my opinion and get my seal of approval. So, yeah, let's get into it. First of all, this is the Stridsvagn K, and this is just I guess a little picture of its legendary camo. I think the legendary camo looks absolutely sweet. To me, it looks like the Stridsvagn 103B from World of Tanks PC. It's got that little HE spall thing on the front of it. Same for the back, we can see here. I just think the camouflage looks amazing. It literally looks like, to me, what an actual urban environment, kind of like city war Swedish tank would look like. So I am super stoked for the tank. I'm super stoked for the camo. I cannot wait to get my hands on the vehicle. But let's start off with the tanks in the snow globe. We have the Karo 45-ton, Stridsvagn K, AMX MLE 54, Kampfpanzer 50-ton, VK90-01P, Concept 1B, Object 907, T22 Medium, Object 268 version 4, K91, Object 752, and the WZ121 GFT. Now, as of right now, I do not know if these are the only tanks or if there are going to be more in the snow globe, because, for example, last year, there were also tier 7s and there was a gold option, so it's possible Wargaming is only showing the best tanks here, but it's also possible that these are the only tanks in the snow globe. Only time will tell, but judging that this is the information I have to go off of, I'm going to be going over each of these tanks, starting off with the Karo 45-ton. This is obviously the Black Friday vehicle, a tank that Wargaming was charging $300 to $400 for. Yeah, that's pretty dang expensive. Thankfully, in the snow globes, it's a drop chance that you could get for absolutely free if you ground it instead of getting the Type 62. I guess you could get both if you really know life the event, but I would definitely suggest this year to go for the snow globe. Keep that in mind. But Karo 45-ton, it has a 4-shell auto reloader. It has 2,850 damage per minute. If you shoot it as a single shot with all of its shells loaded, shoot the 3rd shell and reload the 4th. It does have a reserve shell mechanic though, where it takes 21 seconds to load in your first shell. It has 380 damage per shot. Pretty good pen on the premium actually with Kali, 326. That's pretty impressive. The same as actually the Stridsvagn K, which we're going to break into in just a moment. But overall, the Karo is pretty fast, 55 kilometers per hour of a top speed, 9 degrees of gun depression. Although this is where the downsides occur. It has absolutely horrible dispersion, the worst in tier 10 for a medium at 0.344, same as an IS-4, and as well, its aiming time isn't that great, so yeah, not so good there. As well, its DPM is good, but the more you eat into the clip, it worse it gets, and as well, the armor is absolutely atrocious. So I would say the Karo is really good, super fun tank, but it is definitely a very skill-based vehicle. I'm actually glad Wargaming balanced it out so well. So yeah, I actually really like the Karo, definitely one of my favorite tier 10 mediums and possibly tier 10s in the game at this point, but it definitely has its fair share of downsides. Next up, we have the Stridsvagn K. This vehicle, I can't really make the fullest of opinions on yet, but I do know it has 3,563 damage per minute, the same as a WZ121B, 350 damage per shot, and its penetration is okay. It's 326 with Kali, which will lower your DPM about to 3,220-ish, which is still pretty good DPM, but it's not you know, as good as running rammer, so keep that in mind. However, still great, and I would say the premium pen is enough to get the job done, especially because it does fire APCR, so it's probably similar to about 340 millimeters of heat pen, pretty similar to like a Concept 1B's heat penetration, but obviously APCR does lose penetration over distance. That is something to keep in mind. Stridsvagn K is a top speed of 47 kilometers per hour, 18 in reverse, which is very mobile, and it's got a decent power to weight. It's not the fastest heavy, but it's about 16 on power to weight, slower than the E6, faster than the Concept, so that's kind of how I would rate it. Armor-wise, it's got the hull of a Kron, which is really good hull down, okay on flat ground, terrible side armor, obviously. You can even HE it with some higher 150 plus millimeter cannons, and when it comes to the turret, it is the same as the Centurion, so it's got good armor. I wouldn't say amazing, but better than the E6, and when you also think that it has a better gun than the E6, yeah, it's a pretty scary tank. I'm very excited for it, and well, I guess we'll see how this tank is. Now, when it comes to drop chance, I can tell you for a fact that the Stridsvagn K will have the lowest drop chance out of all of the vehicles in the entire list, because obviously it's the special tank that Wargaming is trying to give away, so it might only have a 1%, where all the others are going to have a much higher drop chance. We have the AMX M4 MLE54 next. This vehicle has 480 base damage per shot, which is absolutely insane, 620 on the high explosive, making this the highest 130 millimeter damage in the game. Add that into the fact that the AMX M4 also carries tungsten and adrenaline. It means that your average damage gets boosted up to like 530 or something like that. Absolutely insane. Makes the tank super enjoyable and just slap and badonker opponents. Has a top speed of 45 and one of the fastest reversing heavies in the game at 20 kilometers per hour. I should also point out that this tank has an incredible frontal armor profile when it comes to armor. Its upper plate's about 330 base, which means that heat shells will pen you even if you're running rammer, but that's only on flat ground. That means if you're fully hull down, nothing's going to pen your upper plate. And as well, the turret is literally just a giant mantlet, which means if you're hull down, you're hiding the hatches on the roof, and you're never ever going to penetrate the vehicle unless you get the side of the turret or the side of the tank's hull. So yeah, the AMX is a great tank. It's super mobile. It's got pretty good accuracy, everything considered, and probably one of my favorite Christmas tanks that Wargaming has released to date. Kampfpanzer 50 ton, another very balanced yet skill-based tank. Kampfpanzer has a good top speed. I think it's upwards of 55, 58 kilometers per hour, somewhere around that area. It's got 600 DPM. It's one of the highest damage per minute tanks in tier 10, especially for a medium. Second highest right behind the Leopard 1. It's got a little bit lower alpha though. The Leopard has 360 damage per shot. This has, I think, 320. So it's a lot less alpha, but it carries armor. Its upper plate's about the same as the WZ-113. Its turret, you need to load heat to penetrate, although do keep in mind, even though you need heat to penetrate it, well, it doesn't have much more armor than that. So it's pretty easy to penetrate overall, especially in the turret. 8 degrees of gun depression is pretty nice, although it's kind of an awkward vehicle. Because of the way it's designed, you usually stick out the front hull when trying to use the gun depression. So I like it. Really strong tank, and it's kind of what I expected it to be when I got my hands on it, but I would definitely say that out of all the vehicles in this list, it's actually one of the worst ones, if you want my opinion, when it comes to all the other tanks here. Next up, we have the VK90-01P, and this is just an amazing tier 10, super heavy. First of all, the VK90 has incredible upper plate armor, and you might be wondering why I said upper plate armor. Well, that's because if we compare it to like the Mouse, which also carries a 460 alpha gun and a rear turreted design, the Mouse's upper plate can be penetrated by 350 plus millimeters of heat. That sucks. That means all tank destroyers are basically going to butter through the Mouse's upper plate, and anybody like me running Cali on their tier 10 heavies, yeah, can also basically butter through a Mouse's upper plate, especially in a face hug, kind of defeating the purpose of its armor. The VK90 does not have that problem. The upper plate's upwards of 400-ish millimeters thick, which means, yeah, it's really good. The VK90 also has up to 10 degrees of gun depression. Over the front, pretend this is the hull here. Over the front of the hull, like this, it's got, I think, only about 4 degrees. But if you turn it to the side and you start aiming over the side like this of the hull or towards this side of the hull, it goes up, down, 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 all the way up to about 10 degrees. I would say 8 degrees is the perfect number. If you can get it to 8, it's kind of like right on the edge of the vehicle where you're still hiding your frontal plate, your side armor still not a ricochet, and you can penetrate your opponents. The VK90 has some of the highest standard pen in the game at around 200 and I think 70 base. If you're running Cali, it's up to 290s. It's really good pen. It's got decent DPM, good accuracy. Also, I should point out that you can run reticle calibration on the tank for some reason. It's got sandbags, which means you can have an absolutely huge amount of hit points. Overall, the VK90 is just a great tank. And then I should also point out that its turret is better armored frontally than the mouse, although do keep in mind that the side armor is much worse. The mouse is good at dealing with a broad variety of tanks all around it. The VK90 is only good at one opponent at a time because the turret's really good like this. But if you turn it like this part here and this part here becomes really weak. So keep that in mind. But overall, absolutely insanely well armored vehicle and definitely one of the better German super heavies that you can get your hands on. Concept 1B, I mean, what is there not to like about it? An impervious turret when using gun depression, 3,000-ish DPM with rammer and about 2,700 with Cali. It's got okay pen. Its standards, I think 272, which is base on average. But the premium, yeah, it's not great. 340s is going to struggle to penetrate Type 71s. It's going to struggle to penetrate a mouse. It's not great pen, but it's enough to get the job done, and the concept carries upwards of 1,470 shell velocity, which is insane. So it's a great tank. Also, the side armor is super troll because it's angled like this. It means that if any shells hit this angled bit, they're just going to deflect right off if they're shooting at you on the move or something like that, which is great. The concept also has 18 kilometers per hour of reverse and a top speed of 45, making it one of the most mobile heavies in the game. So another great tank to get your hands on, although the alpha is kind of weird. Instead of your normal 400, it actually has 380, a bit lower for the 120mm it carries. The Object 907 is, I would say probably the best medium in the game in a skilled player's hands. The 907 has a nearly impervious turret when hauled down. Yes, it has hatches that you can penetrate, and it has cheeks, but for the most part, the 907 turret is absolutely amazing. Add that into the fact that the 907 has some of the best camouflage in the game for a medium, especially when sitting still. It's the same, if not better, than most light tanks. Also the fact that it has 0.272 dispersion, the same as a Leopard 1. Also the fact that it has some of the best power to weight and a top speed of 56. It's an absolutely amazing tank on all aspects. Really, the only two things that aren't amazing is the fact that its aiming time is a little bit poor. Pair that with kind of not so great shell velocity, and yeah, it's kind of mid on that aspect, and its DPM isn't too high either, but it's still got so many good aspects going for it. I do believe that in a skilled player's hands, especially after Wargaming buffed the 907 and update 9.1, it's probably one of the best tier 10s out there. T22 medium, it's an oldie, but it's still gold. T22 medium has insanely good side armor, and if you understand how to wiggle it, it can be one of the hardest and trollest tanks to penetrate in tier 10. T22 medium has just a bit more DPM than a vehicle like the 907, sitting at around 3,500 with rammer, which is really dang good. T22 has basically an impervious turret, which is absolutely amazing, and it makes the tank really good for just poking your turret in certain situations. It's got really good heat penetration at 330, and it's even pretty mobile at a good top speed of 56 and a fantastic power to weight. However, I should point out that its traverse speed was nerfed in 9.1 to a point where it's actually not that fast on traverse. I would say it's similar to like a Type 71, which is not bad by any means, but it is still not amazing on the traverse speed. Still, nonetheless, an amazing tank to get your hands on. Object 268 version 4, honestly, I'd say that that's probably the worst of all the tier 10s to get your hands on. Yes, the Object 268 version 4 has Alpha 690. Yes, the Object 268 version 4 has really hard armor on the front to penetrate. However, it's a tank that first of all gets pretty boring very quickly. And second of all, well, it's only good against opponents that are bad at the game. And that's really as simple as it is. If you're not great at the game, you'll do great in it, and it'll be the best tank you've ever gotten in tier 10. However, if you're a player like myself, or players that start to do on the upper side of the bracket when it comes to skill, the V4 is going to actually perform worse. You know, it kind of like this. If you're 40% and 45s, you're going to do like this, but the higher you go in skill, it's going to level out and go back down when it comes to your enjoyment and how you perform in the vehicle. So that's kind of how I'd rate the 268 version 4. Overall, really good tank, just not my favorite because it is kind of boring. The K91, also I should talk a little bit about the 268 version 4 when it comes to statistics. So 690 alpha, pretty good. It's got okay standard pen, and premium I think is 363 or something around there. So it's got decent premium penetration. The 268 version 4 has a top speed of around 40 and a reverse speed of 20, so it's actually quite mobile. Especially the reverse speed allows it to actually get in and out of position very, very quickly if you need to back up. The tank has really good frontal armor. Its lower plate's about 330 millimeters thick, which means for the most part that if you're running rammer on your heavies, you're actually not going to be able to penetrate it. And as well, I should point out that the 268 version 4 has nearly impervious armor to most mediums, so it's actually really solid in certain aspects, but it's got really bad accuracy, so do keep that in mind. It will miss a lot of shots. Moving on to the K91, I would say the K91 is still a fantastic tier 9, although it's definitely one of the lamer vehicles in this list because you can get the K91 for like 15, 10 bucks usually when it comes out. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's a good vehicle, really good vehicle, and I wouldn't feel bad if you got it at all. If you don't own this vehicle and you get it for free, it's a fantastic tier 9, but definitely one of the worst vehicles just because it is such a cheap tank to get your hands on in general. Object 752 is probably a better vehicle than a lot of these tier 10s. Not only does it have around 2,400 DPM, not only does it have 374 millimeters of heat pen if you're running Cali, which you should, but as well, it's got 8 degrees of gun depression, decent mobility, great turret armor, and a double shotgun that deals 880 potential damage in a matter of 4 seconds. Overall, 752 is an amazing vehicle, and yeah, definitely one you want to get your hands on. We finish off with the WZ-121 GFT, the Chinese Tier 8 cheese wedge of a tank destroyer. It's honestly still an amazing tank. It's super mobile, super fun, great DPM. It's an absolutely fantastic vehicle. Would I say it's still good in 2022? Yeah, I would. I would still say it's an amazing tank, and I would suggest that you wouldn't actually feel too bad if you got your hands on it. Overall, all of these tanks are amazing. If I were to rank them in level of the best to the worst, in my opinion, let's start off with the worst. I would say the worst tanks to get would be the 121 GFT and the K91, by far. Probably I'd do the K91 first, then the 121 GFT. Then I would probably put the Object 752 just because it is a tier 9 after all. After that, I would do the 268 version 4. Then I would put the Kampfpanzer 50 ton. Then I would probably do the T22 medium. And then I would do the Caro 45 ton, followed by the VK90, followed by the AMX MLE 54, followed by the 907, then the Concept 1B, and that leaves us just with the T22 medium, which I would also put somewhere up there in the top, and as well the Stridsvagn K, which I don't know much about, so I can't really rank that one yet, but hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, and if you'd like to see more, actually I just said that, sorry, it's late, it's really late, in fact it's early, it's 6:09 in the morning, I haven't gotten any sleep because I needed to stay up for my other channel, so either way, hopefully you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.